second, we will call this meeting to order. The Chair will recognize Officer Charlie Davidson for the invocation, and we will ask folks to stand if they're willing and able, which after the invocation will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, City Council. If everybody could bow your heads with me. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we just come before you on this great morning, and we thank you, Lord, for just building this city on a hill. And I pray that you continue to impart wisdom upon our mayor, upon our city council, our city leaders, our department directors, to continue to give them guidance and direction in leading this such a great city. And Lord, as we continue through this 2021 and on into the future, I pray that City of Wichita can continue to be a city on a hill, as it says in Matthew 5, and that we can be that beacon of light. We can be an example to other cities. And God, that people would look to us as an example of how to be the best city we can possibly be. We just thank you for those things. And we pray this. And we lift this up to you. Pray for this meeting today. That, God, we would let your ways be our ways. And that you would impart wisdom on us as our leaders continue to guide this city. Pray and ask all this in Jesus' precious and holy name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on January 26, 2021.
Has every member had a chance to review the minutes? If so, is there any discussion? If there is no discussion of the minutes, then I will make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded by Vice Mayor Johnson. Clerk will open the roll. If there's no discussion of the motion, members will cast their votes. With the result of 6 yeas to 0 nays, the motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we have two people on the public agenda. The first one is Tremaine Longer. City funding to open an orphanage for children saved from abortions.
We'll divert the floor to our staff over at Century 2 so that we may hear from the first speaker. Sir, welcome, and you have 5 minutes.
All right, thank you. Good morning, City Council. How excellent it is to be here with you this morning. I love you. I will be starting my 5 minutes with a sharing in the Our Father, Jesus Christ prayer that he taught us. Thank you. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Don't let us fall into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory is yours now and forever. Amen. Subject number 0, the Our Father Lifehouse Orphanage. It's a simple orphanage where we go to abortion and adoption agencies, and we tell people that we understand times are tough, and if money is a problem, we will pay a good amount of money, like $10,000 or so, for the child to live at Our Father's Lifehouse Orphanage. It's found on GoFundMe. We're asking for building and money donations from the city. Once again, all my contact information is on GoFundMe. It's called Our Father Lifehouse, like the Jesus prayer that he taught us, Our Father Lifehouse Orphanage at GoFundMe for any questions. Subject number 1, Sound Ordinance, Section 7.41.010, falling under uncomfortableness. The church states I should not have a family and I should be a celibate priest. I'm uncomfortable with that at any distance of sound travel, especially long-range church bells. Subject number 2, thank you to the Honorable Father Judge Journey and Committee for granting me my freedom, faith, and state of mind, instilling us with love, morale, chivalry, and most of all, good upstanding character of excellence. Recently, Wichita was abided with the presence of royalty and Police Chaplain Presidential Committee in Law of Honor. Police President Chaplain Kia Kiaway gave me the Medal of Honor behind the scenes as an investment. I use that investment in this human sixth sense. I trained police, military, and citizens exercise at Genesis Health Clubs. I became national undefeated Taekwondo champion recently. I saved a girl from being murdered at Lawrence Elementary School. During that same week, very early in the morning, I busted a pedophile ring. I also saved an elderly man's life named Warren on Channel 12 at 10 a.m. during our church choir services. I would love to be a paid commissioned officer, police officer. I understand that felons are not usually hired, but the law also states under extenuating circumstances one is eligible for such success. I believe that the pandemic will qualify us for this enlightenment. I will be leaving this session with a letter of revelation to the good people and governments of God's universe, Jesus's. I pray that you will be blessed with kindness and peace from God, who is and was and is coming. May you receive kindness and peace from the seven spirits before the throne of God. May kindness and peace be yours from Jesus Christ, the faithful witness. In the genesis of it all, as in Adam and Eve, I owed you some attention in my conception. I have a good amount of money for your Christian services that Lady Justice offers us. Lady Justice, I know you made a mistake offering me the apple tree of knowledge. No hard feelings. Here's a tip just to let you know I accept your apology. I apologize for eating apple's tree of knowledge too. I think if we would have realized how allergic we were to apples, we would not have ever eaten them and took Jesus' teachings first in understanding. I hope this makes it right to you, to whom you may be. Thank you, City Council. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Sybil Strum, Central coming into our house without our permission.
Chair recognizes the staff over at Century 2. Ms. Strum, welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, I am here for why the Central came in my house without my permission. The guy threatened me in a way. He told my neighbor that he was going to destroy the house and my shed. I also stated that I was homeless. I don't want to say this, but your Central are bullies, and they should be punished. I never got to know who the Central was that went and did the crime. And also, while I was gone, my house got destroyed. And also, Evergy went and chunked tree limbs and semi-tires in my yard. I want to know, is this the kind of life you want people to live? To destroy people's houses? And I found out also the house was a historical landmark. And I could have got a grant. But instead, I was tossed out on my own. And I want you all to know I am very, very angry with what you did to me. Because it's not right. I would not come to your house and invade your privacy. And the house I'm living in is not good. The contractor did a terrible job. I am living and I want to know where my Victorian tub went, where did my metal door go, and where did my wind chimes go, and where did my flags go? I want to know where those are. And I think you should tell me where they went. Because I don't think it was fair. You treated me like I should not be in Wichita, Kansas. That's not right. That's not right at all. I've been there for the community. I've been a teacher. I've helped fundraise Allison, West High, and Franklin Elementary. I've been on a safety patrol, but you have treated me like dirt. And I have been treated by the Sedgwick County Commissioner, Pete Messner, to where he told me if I spoke, he would get his lawyers on me. So that's what I'm trying to say. It wasn't right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Drum. Madam Clerk,
Consent agenda items 1 through 4.
has every member had a chance to review the consent agenda? And if so, do we have any discussion? Bless you.
Bless you.
There is no discussion on the consent agenda. I will make a motion to accept the consent agenda and pass it.
Second.
Motion has been made and then seconded by the Vice Mayor Johnson. There's no discussion on the motion. Members will cast their vote. The result of 6 yeas to 0 nays, the motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
Report of Board of Bids and Contracts dated February 1st, 2021.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Hannah Lane, Department of Finance, here to present the February 1st Board of Bid recommendations. First engineering bid we have is 2021 OP3 Joint and Crack Seal Phase 1. Recommendation is Circle C Paving for the engineer's estimate of $230,083.60. Paving Emmeline to serve Emerald Bay Estates 4th Edition Phase 2. Pearson Construction for $251,073.55. Install of SCADA and electrical services, Phillips Southern Electric Company, $297,640. This is our purchasing procurement website, as well as our current open request for proposals. That is the Board of Bids recommendations. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Questions for staff? See none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion? See none. If there's no discussion on this item, then I will make the recommendation. It takes staff's, I'll make the motion to take staff's recommended action to receive and file the report, approve the contracts, and authorize the necessary signatures. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and then seconded by Vice Mayor Johnson. There's no discussion on said motion. Clerk will open the roll. Members cast the vote. With a result of 6 yeas to 0 nays, the motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
Amendments to Section 2.4.190 of the Code of the City of Wichita regarding the removal of petitions for public improvements from the consent agenda and adding petitions for public improvements to the council business agenda.
Welcome and good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor and council members. Gary J. Hansen, Public Works Engineering. The item before you this morning is an amendment to City Code regarding the removal of petitions for public improvements from the consent agenda and adding the same to the council business agenda. Section 2.04.190 of the City Code establishes the order of business for regular City Council meetings. The ordinance provides guidelines for items appearing on the City Council agenda, including the consent and council business agendas. Currently, petitions for public improvements are considered individually as part of the City Council's consent agenda. Just to show you an example of our current agenda process and approval for petitions, there's a couple of things I'd like to talk about here. So, the petitions that we would like to move to the business part of the City Council agenda for approval each week, which would be similar to the Board of Bids, look like the one that you see here. And a couple of things I might mention. All of these petitions are validated per Kansas statute with our law department. And each one of these petitions are only those which are signed by 100% of the improvement district. And I'll talk more about that in just a minute. But we would take all of these petitions, bundle them together, those that are signed by 100% of the improvement district, again, all valid per state statute, put them within one item similar to Board of Bids each week. The current process for approval of 100% petitions takes as much as 5 weeks to complete, which can negatively impact new development schedules. This is something that we've worked closely with the Wichita Area Builders Association on and the development community to find a way to approve these petitions sooner, because this step in the process is what keeps things moving forward to beginning construction on most of the projects. The proposed process will lower that approval time generally to 1 week, while allowing the City Council to still review the same information. Any petitions that are not signed by 100% of the improvement district property owners will continue to be presented to the city council as new business. So historically, those types of petitions, especially for infill projects, we take those to the respective district advisory board for consideration, and again, we would bring those to the city council as a new business item, if not signed by 100% of the owners. So just a kind of a quick summary to show the different types of petitions, whether it be a new petition or a revised petition. Current process is approximately 5 weeks. And with the proposal before you today, we think we can lower that to as much as 1 week for approval. Revised petitions for rebidding a project or accepting an overestimate bid. Again, the current process is 5 weeks, and we can lower that to as little as 4 to 11 days, depending on when the new petition is submitted after the bid opening on Friday. In 2020, every petition was approved as a separate consent agenda item, and we had just over 50 of those in 2020, just to give you some perspective of the number that we're looking at. There are no financial considerations related to this ordinance revision, and with that, staff would request that the City Council place the ordinance on first reading and authorize necessary signatures, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions of staff? If there is no questions, I will recognize the council member of District 2. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Mayor. This really wasn't a question. I just wanted to commend staff for working with our development community on this. We talk a lot about getting rid of the red tape and creating more red carpet. Having this speed to the market, being able to get projects online and developed quicker helps the entire city. So again, I just want to thank staff for working through this and putting in the checks that allow us to do this. Much appreciated.
Further discussion. Councilmember Johnson.
Thanks, Mayor. Gary, I think I'm gonna word this right. So last night at DAB, I had a resident of District 3 join in and ask about this potential amendment and wanted to know if adjacent homes would be notified of this. I didn't fully get how it was worded, so I think I'm saying it the right way.
So I think probably what they're asking more relates to the other part of this I talked about, and typically when a petition is not signed by 100% of the property owner. So every one of these petitions, every single property within the improvement district has signed the petition. So they're aware that the petition is there, they're aware that it's moving forward. Nearly all of these are for new development. So typically they have one signature, it's the developers on it. It's rare, I don't know in all of my time that I've ever seen an infill petition signed by 100%. So in that case, it would still be a new business item that would first go to the district advisory board. And everybody in the improvement district is notified of that meeting, as well as the city council new business item.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does to me. I'm sure I'll hear from him if it doesn't, but I'd said I would try to ask the question the way I understood it.
And so I guess to answer more directly what you just asked, we would. The developers who've signed these petitions will know when the item's going to city council for approval. And on the chance that we had a different type of petition where everybody signed it, we would notify them when this would happen.
Okay. Thanks, Gary.
Further discussion. If there is no further discussion, the chair recognizes the council member from District 2, Councilmember Tuttle.
Thank you, and I'd just like to echo Councilmember Price's comments. Great to see this and appreciate all the staff's time and efforts. And I would make a motion that the city council place the ordinance on the first reading and authorize the, the necessary signatures. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by the vice mayor. There's no discussion on the motion. Clerk will open the roll. Members cast the vote. The result of 6 yeas to 0 nays, that motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
Water service agreement with Rural Water District Number 3.
Again, Gary Jansen, Public Works Engineering. The next item I have for you this morning is a water service agreement with Rural Water District 3. In March of 2019, the city of Wichita annexed land within the Rural Water District 3 territory as requested by a new plat. Due to pending residential development, the city and Rural Water District have agreed it would be in the best interest of current and future area needs if the city would provide water service. This is not uncommon of what we've seen, especially on the fringes of our city as development continues. The last time that council considered an agreement like this was Rural Water District 4 in the western part of our community, and it's something that we work through kind of individually as each of these come to us. So this map is a little bit hard to see. Left of center is Rock Road. To the left of that is McConnell Air Force Base. There's a portion of new development here already. The red square that you see within the blue is Rural Water District 3. Because this development that is in the city of Wichita will be within the Rural Water District service territory, we have to come to some level of agreement with how the city might serve the new development with water. The agreement provides that the city agrees to compensate Rural Water District 3 for the right to serve 40 acres located within the annexed area. Approval of this agreement will allow development of 114 new residential properties, again in an area east of Rock Road, adjacent to McConnell Air Force Base. Total compensation due to Rural Water District 3 is $218,750. This is based on a model and a request from the Rural Water District that they utilize for anyone who would like to develop within their service territory. The city will not pay any direct costs for this agreement. One half of that total will be recovered through special assessments to property owners, which the developer offered to take care of. The other half will be compensated by a direct pass-through as each new home connects to water and pays an added connection fee. It is recommended that the City Council approve the service area agreement with Rural Water District 3 and authorize the necessary signatures. I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Any questions for staff? I have a question for staff as you walk away. Forgive my ignorance. District 3 is also in Rural Water District 3 is also in Council District 3, is that correct?
Well, not necessarily. These rural water districts are quite large. This area is actually in District 2. So we've seen, and then if you go out west in Rural Water District 4, it spans between both District 4 and District 5. So these areas get quite large. And that's why we run into this issue. Again, as the city continues to grow and developers want to annex into areas on the fringes of the city, it's just inevitable that we're going to get to this point.
Thank you. Further discussion? If not, I will recognize Council Member for District 2, as I believe this was mentioned, it overlaps with Council District 2. Council Member Tuttle.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that the City Council approve the water service agreement with Rural Water District Number 3 and authorize the necessary signatures.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded by Vice Mayor Johnson. If there is no discussion on the motion, members cast the vote. The result of 6 yeas to 0 nays, the motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
O.J. Watson Park Improvement Project.
Welcome.
Good morning, Mayor, City Council, Larry Hoopmer, Public Works Engineering. Item before you today is the O.J. Watson Park improvements. In 2014, staff conducted a master plan study for this park, and we've designed a 4-season shelter for the west side of the park. In May of 2020, this project was bid. At that time, the bids came in over the engineer's estimate. Since that time, staff has looked at this project to reduce cost. We're going to relocate the building to reduce footing cost. We've also looked at reducing the overall footprint, and we're finalizing plans currently. On February 11, 2020, City Council approved the existing budget of $1,292,500. In the 2020-2030 adopted capital improvement program, it does include $100,000 in 2020 for the Watson Park improvements. That would bring the total budget for the event center to be $1,392,500. With that, staff recommends City Council approve the revised budget, adopt the amending resolution, and authorize the necessary signatures.
Is there any discussion or questions of staff? Thank you, sir. If there is no further discussion, I will make the motion to accept staff's recommended action to approve the revised budget, adopt the amending resolution, and authorize the necessary signatures. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded by the Vice Mayor. If there is no discussion on the motion, clerk will open a roll. Members cast the vote. The result of 6 yeas to 0 nays, the motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
2021 Sidewalk Maintenance Program.
Once again, Gary Jansen, Public Works Engineering. The last item I have for you this morning is the 2021 Sidewalk Maintenance Program. The Department of Public Works and Utilities oversees an annual program for sidewalk repairs as provided by Charter Ordinance number 88 and supported by state law. Staff receives requests on a continual basis to repair uneven and or broken sidewalk sections that may be considered trip hazards, with the cost of repairs being fully reimbursed by the abutting property owner. Just a quick example of the types of things that we see, and again, these are reported by citizens, and we've got staff that deals with these as they come in. There's a couple of things that go along with this that we do try to work with property owners the best we can within the rules that are laid out for us. In some areas where there are wider than normal sidewalks, multi-use paths, we have the at-large portion of the budget pick up half of that cost. So effectively, we would assess the cost to an adjacent property owner for half the sidewalk, effectively what a normal sidewalk width would be. Also, one of the challenges we run into is on arterial streets where you've got residential development that may have internal sidewalk also. So those properties that have sidewalk along their side yard adjacent to an arterial street, if there happens to be issues there and they've got sidewalk in front of their house also, we take care of that along the arterial street, again with the at-large portion of the budget, so that someone who happens to be at one of those corners doesn't get unfairly dinged twice. So there's some things that we've adopted to over the years that I think make sense as far as trying to work with property owners as much as we can. State statute requires that property owners receive a minimum of 30 days with the opportunity to have repairs made by a licensed contractor. We send notification out as soon as we see the issue and that the sidewalk area has been marked. If they choose not to use their own contractor, an annual on-call contractor will make the repairs as soon as possible after that. There's some time considerations and they're needed for scheduling and notification to property owners, but with the process we currently have in place, we've been able to expedite repairs, certainly compared to what was done in the past, limit the opportunity of someone, any issues with that sidewalk. The 2021-2030 adopted capital improvement program includes funding of $1 million in 2021 for this program, with all costs offset by direct payment from or special assessments to adjacent property owners outside of those specific items I just discussed, where the city at large may cover the cost. At this time, staff requests authorization of the full amount of the budget to continue repairs. With that, staff would recommend the City Council approve the budget, adopt the resolution, authorize the necessary signatures. I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Questions for staff? There are no questions. Is there discussion? If there is no further discussion, I will make the motion to accept staff's recommended action on the sidewalks maintenance program by approve the budget, adopt the resolution, and authorize the necessary signatures. Is there a second? Motion has been made and seconded by the Vice Mayor. There's no discussion on the motion. Clerk, open the roll. The result of 6 yeas to 0 nays, the motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
2021 Community Service Block Grant Application.
Good morning, Director Stang.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Sally Stang with the Housing and Community Services Department. The first item that I have for you today is the 2021 Community Services Block Grant Application. CSBG funding is designed to lessen poverty in the community. The funds are provided by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to the state of Kansas Housing Resource Corporation, and then they allocate those funds to 8 community action programs that cover the state of Kansas. Our timeline, January 2021, it was actually about January 15th, we received guidance from KHRC on the funding that will be available for 2021. On January 21st, we met with the CSBG Review Committee to go over last year's performance plus recommendations for the coming year. We're here today for the City Council to review and approve the grant application. It is due to KHRC on February 26th, and our program year will start April 1st, 2021. So by the regulations, we must have a CSBG review committee. It includes 12 representatives, 8 that are appointed by the council and 4 elected through the neighborhood resource centers. The committee met, as I said, on January 21st to review the program outcomes and expenditures and the 2021 funding recommendations. The 2020 program year accomplishments, WSCAP, Wichita Sedgwick County Community Action Program, the division within the Housing Department, provides the Individual and Family Development Program. It's where we provide employment, self-sufficiency case management for families interested. We've served 267 families, and 78 of those received additional supportive services, which can be rent or other assistance. Project Access served 544 uninsured eligible individuals, providing durable medical equipment, prescriptions, and other medications and medical services. Employment and training, so 88 of our Individual Family and Development Program participants received job training through partners for many items, medical careers, truck driving, all kinds of different educational opportunities. And then our summer camps, we provided scholarships to 122 eligible youth to attend one of 5 summer camps this past summer. For 2021 program year, we're recommending funding of $556,254 to fund the 6 city staff for the Individual and Family Development Program for 2021. Funding the healthcare services at the level of $200,000 again, which is level with what we funded in 2020, but increased over 2019. To continue funding employment and training at $150,000, and the summer activity camps at $55,000. Lastly, CSBG also provides additional funding to the Way to Work Youth Employment Program, and we're recommending, again, level funding with last year of $40,000 to supplement the $200,000 provided in CDBG. The Law Department has reviewed and approved the funding agreement as to form, and the CSBG Review Committee recommends the City Council approve the, that should say 2021, CSBG grant year application in the amount of $1,212,800 and authorize the necessary signatures.
And you will stand for questions?
Yep.
Are there any questions of our dear Director Stang? See none. Is there any discussion? Can we continue to appreciate the hard work of the Housing Department and all you do for our community? And with that, it's a pleasure for me to make the motion to accept staff's recommended action to approve the 2021 Community Service Block Grant funding application and authorize the necessary signatures. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and then seconded by Vice Mayor Johnson. There's no discussion on said motion. Clerk will open the roll and members will cast their vote. With a result of 6 yeas to 0 nays, the motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
Funding agreement with Sedgwick County for Housing First program.
Floor is yours, Director Stang.
Thank you. The second item I have for you today is the funding agreement with Sedgwick County for Housing First. In 2006, the City Council and Sedgwick County Commission authorized a task force on ending chronic homelessness in our community. The task force held meetings and conducted research for over 18 months and made a recommendation to both elected bodies in March of 2008. And one of the recommendations was the creation of the Housing First program, which has been endorsed by both the city and the county every year since then. The rationale behind Housing First is to assist chronically homeless individuals to secure housing first and then connect them with case management and other services. This was, in 2008, this was really radical change. If you go back to the 80s and the rise in homeless cases, most service programs required those experiencing homelessness to get case management, deal with their substance abuse or mental health issues before earning their way into housing. But it's been found that oftentimes people who are in those circumstances can't focus on those other needs when their focus every night is having a safe place to sleep where they won't be in physical harm. And so we see much better success stories using the Housing First model. So the program is designed to provide permanent housing opportunities across the community in scattered site units through rent and utility subsidies. And the program participants must agree to work with a case manager on a weekly basis and, of course, comply with their lease agreements. The rent and utility subsidies are provided until the person is able to be independent of assistance or move to some other housing subsidy program. And historically, the Housing First program costs have been split evenly between the City of Wichita and Sedgwick County, with the city administering the program pursuant to the funding agreement. Since the program began in March of 2009, 425 chronically homeless individuals have been placed in housing. And as of December 31st, 2020, we have 45 active participants in the program, and 22 of them had been in housing for over a year. We've had 214 program participants that had successfully exited. It's about half, and actually, when you look at statistics across the country, half for chronically homeless is doing very well. But over the past several years, many of the chronic homeless individuals identified have a physical disability, not necessarily a substance abuse or mental health issue. And agencies referring clients to the Housing First program don't provide case management for those with physical disabilities based on their own funding requirements. So we saw that this was a gap in our ability to serve those who are chronically homeless but have a physical disability versus a mental health or substance abuse. So we're proposing a change to the Sedgwick County City of Wichita funding agreement in order to cover the expenses to provide a dedicated ComCare case manager to the Housing First program. And we will be able to offset some of the rent assistance expenses to federal resources. The Housing First case manager will provide services to those clients who cannot receive service from other agency partners, and they will receive assistance with life skills as well as other referrals to make them self-sufficient. The Housing First case manager will also serve as a liaison between property managers and landlords and the program staff and proactively address any problematic situations. And the proposed change will decrease the monthly reimbursements requested from Sedgwick County for that rent assistance, but we truly believe we'll be able to offset the cost of that case manager in federal rent subsidies. There's no impact to the general fund. The 2021 adopted budget includes rent and utility assistance in the amount of $382,736, split evenly between the city and the county. And so with this amendment, of the $191,368 to be contributed by Sedgwick County, up to $59,404 can be used by the county to pay for the ComCare case manager. The Law Department has reviewed and approved the funding agreement form, and it's recommended that the council approve the funding agreement and authorize the necessary signatures, and I stand for any questions.
Are there any questions of Director Stang? Councilmember Johnson.
Thanks, Mayor. This is like a random question, but so on the green sheet, looking at 46 participants have become incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have like maybe why that was, and if so, a way to plug in supportive services so that, you know, if it was they were released but then kind of went back to some behaviors from before, a way to engage folks that may have that type of background and maybe help empower them to not do that?
We need to dig into those specific cases and see where they still stand now, if they've re-engaged coming out. Oftentimes they do, will re-engage coming out of incarceration. It depends on what charge was and the length of their incarceration. But we can definitely look into that. I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Thank you. Discussion?
Thank you.
Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, then I will make the motion to accept staff's recommended action to approve the funding agreement and authorize the necessary signatures. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded by Vice Mayor Johnson. If there's no discussion on the motion, clerk open the roll. Members will cast the vote. The result of 6 yeas to 0 nays, the motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
Public hearing and amended resolution for letter of intent to issue airport special facilities revenue bonds, Clemens Aviation LLC.
Good morning, Mayor and
Welcome.
City
Good morning.
Council members. I'm Tim Goodpasture with the city's Office of Economic Development for the record. The item before you today is a request for a modification to a letter of intent to issue airport special facilities revenue bonds for Clemens Aviation. Clemens Aviation LLC is a legal entity that was formed in 2020 for the purpose of building two 18,000 square foot hangars at Colonel James Jabara Airport. Clemens is owned by Dwayne and Julie Clemens, who are the owners of Stearman Airfield in Benton. The hangars will be located in the 3500 to 3600 block of North Jabara Road. This is the location roughly of where those two hangars were proposed to be built, which is north of K96 and east of Webb Road at Jabara Airport. On May 19th of last year, the Wichita Airport Authority Board approved a letter of intent to issue airport special facilities revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $4 million for the construction of two 18,000 square foot hangars. Services offered would be charter operations, aircraft maintenance, and aircraft storage and pilot services. Clemens Aviation is now requesting an increase in the letter of intent to $6,200,000 to include a third 18,000 square foot building on this site that they have leased from the airport authority. The bonds will provide a sales tax exemption on construction materials only. No property tax abatement is being requested since the property is located on airport authority land, which is already tax exempt in its own right. Clemens Aviation intends to transfer 17 employees from Stearman Airfield to Jabara and projects it will add 24 new employees over the next 5 years with annual wages in excess of $71,000 a year. An updated cost-benefit analysis has been conducted by the Center for Economic Development and Business Research at Wichita State University, which shows a ratio of benefits to costs of 28.54 to 1 for the city. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation that the Wichita Airport Authority Board close the public hearing, adopt the amended resolution of intent, and authorize the necessary signatures. I would be happy to stand for any questions.
Questions? Councilmember Fry.
Thank you. Tim, before you get away.
Yep.
Just to be clear, going from 2 hangars to 3 hangars, is that the new increase or is that on the employee count? Was the employee count for all 3 hangars or just the increase from 2 to 3?
That is for all 3 hangars. They have projected 17 net new employees for the 2 hangars, so we're going from 17 to 24 for all 3 hangars.
Gotcha.
And they could at some point come back for an additional letter of intent. The ground that they have leased from the airport authority actually would accommodate 4 18,000 square foot buildings. They just have plans at this time to build 3.
I just want to be clear that the 3rd hangar is a net new 7.
Correct.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Other discussion or questions? If there is no further discussion, the chair will recognize Councilmember Tuttle of District 2 to make a motion.
Thank you. I just want to thank staff for all their hard work and effort on this, and also take an opportunity to thank Clemens Aviation LLC for investing not only in our city, but especially in District 2. It's always appreciated to see growth and excited to see this project come to fruition. So I'd like to make a motion for the Wichita Airport Authority Board to close the public hearing, adopt the amended resolution, and authorize the necessary signatures.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded by the Vice Mayor. There's no discussion on the motion. Clerk open the roll. Members cast a vote. With the result of 6 yeas to 0 nays, that motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember appointments and comments.
Is there any appointments that council members like to make at this time? Vice Mayor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to reappoint Michael Fowler to the Wichita-Sedgwick County Access Advisory Board.
Is there another appointment that someone would like to make at this time?
I do.
Councilmember Tuttle.
Thank you. I would like to appoint Timothy Johnson to the District 2 Advisory Board.
Is there any other appointments at this time? If not, I will make a motion to accept both those appointments. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Clerk will open a roll. All in favor of confirming those two appointments, please vote. With a result of 6 yeas to 0 nays, that motion does pass. We are now back on comments. Are there any comments? Vice Mayor Johnson.
Thanks, Mayor. Just wanted to make a recommendation to Bob. We had the discussion last week over process and timeline with the ethics. And if we could potentially look at partnering with an outside entity, maybe the folks over at City Ethics or maybe Fringe University or Newman University to help us with this, kind of make this a third party guiding us along. And with that, comparing the policy that has been introduced already and also a look at the county policy and maybe some best practices for local municipalities with that. And as we talked about engaging the public, maybe this group or entity could engage those DABs for us. And then that way they could get the public comment from the DABs and also work with us on the social media town hall and bring that back to the council. And if possible, rather than what we talked about next Tuesday, if there's no objection from my colleagues, maybe you could present a detailed timeline of how this will all work out. That was it.
Councilmember Clayco.
Yes, thank you. I want to say that I support this process. This addresses my concern that I voiced Friday at agenda review that we hadn't really had advice from outside expertise. And so I would support that also, Manager. I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
Further comments? If there's no further comments, discussions, or appointments, I will make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded by the Vice Mayor. Clerk, open a roll. Members cast the votes. Result of 6 yeas to 0 nays, the motion passes and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Almost forgot the second part.